have such sights to show you. Welcome to Nightmare on Woodsboro.
I think I can control myself.
It's got a death
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Josh from Nightmare on Woodsboro Lake. Back to you with another video here. Today I have a very special guest. I have Bob Heckman, the director of Victim No More. How are we doing today?
We're doing amazingly fantastic because we just had a Friday 13th weekend.
Heck yeah, right? No, I mean, I try to take opportunity of that every time it rolls around. You know, you got to watch all the movies and get in the spirit of things. So
Absolutely.
So yeah, for those of you for the people out there who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about you and your films?
Yeah. It's my favorite thing to talk about myself. I actually hate it. So, but since you asked, obviously, I always loved movies growing up and everything, and I always loved horror movies and Friday 13th franchise especially. So a few years ago, I decided, all right, if I'm going to make one film, I should make a Friday 13th film. I'm not looking to get in the industry or use it as like a foot into the industry and, get into that. I have a full-time state pension retirement job that I need to complete. But as a hobby. So I said, let me make a Friday 13th film. I have a lot of ideas. And I wound up using the first idea that I came up with for Victim No More, which is the plot of the movie that you see. So, and I figured, with my connections to a couple of cult celebrity, friends of mine, like Catherine Mary Stewart, who was in Weekend at Bernie's and Last Starfighter, Night of the Comet, and Jill Whitlow from Night of the Creeps and Twice Dead and Porky's and Weird Science. I was like, oh, I got to get my buddies in there, and we could have fun in the Friday 13th world. And I'm also really great friends with Kimberly Beck, who's Trish Jarvis from Friday the Final Chapter, and Amy Steele from Friday 13th Part 2. So I try to figure out a way to get them in there too. So I figured, you know what? I love the franchise so much. I need to make a Friday 13th film, a short film, because I didn't think the story needed to be longer than it was. So I came up with the idea of the story, and we went ahead, and I'm really great friends with Sean King. He's a professional cinematographer, and I know he would make the movie look as good as it did. And yeah, then we got some local actors, and first time, meeting a bunch of them, and they've also become really good friends, most of them. So yeah, I wanted to do a few things that I thought would be fun and different, switch up the mask a little bit, from seeing so many fan films with Jason with the hockey mask. I was like, let's bring it back to the sack, I thought it would be fun, and back to the sack, and not put it in that time frame of when he wore the sack, but have it as he would be now, like a decayed zombie. So I thought it'd be fun to mash up part 2 and part 7 a little bit. Something different and recognizable for specifically just for my film. So it was great. I just did the Blairstown event that was on Friday. They had a little mini con with a few of the Friday 13th stars signing autographs, and I was invited there to for my campaign launch for my Victim No More sequel, and promote and sell Victim No More merch. And it was great. And there was Jason cosplayers around, and one of them dressed as the Victim No More Jason, and it was awesome.
Nice.
I just posted photos, so you can check out my my page on Facebook or Instagram, and you'll see a bunch of photos of South Jersey Jason. That's the cosplayer, and he dressed like my Jason. So yeah, I wanted to do a few twists and turns throughout the story, and hopefully, well, it seems like a lot of people enjoyed what I did. So the comments on YouTube, which we just hit 100,000 views, which is amazing.
Congrats.
Thank you. And the comments have been like 90% positive in the last 2 years that it's been on there. So it's been an amazing run, and I even enjoy the negative comments. They make me smile and laugh, and it's all subjective. people could like it, hate it, whatever, So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, make everyone happy.
So, yeah, exactly. It makes me happy because they gave me a view.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, that's basically the story. I wasn't sure if I was going to make another movie as soon as I was done, so I kind of took like 6 months to think about it, and almost right away I started thinking I kind of want to make a sequel and kind of get into the backstories of some of the characters that show up at the end of the movie that a lot of people questioned about. So that was basically it. So I said, you know what? It's time for a sequel. So let me set up an Indiegogo campaign, which just launched 2 days ago. And we're the motion is forward. We're ready to go. We just need to raise that money, and by next spring, hopefully, we can start filming. So
yeah, definitely. Which we will provide the links below, so you guys can go check it out, and go support our friend Bob here in his dream of making another Friday the 13th movie. Made by the fans for the fans.
Yes,
of course.
Absolutely. I make zero money off of this, so every dime goes into the project. And if more money is coming in, like say it surpasses the goal that we're at, and it's all going to go into the production, and the more money, the better quality film that we can make. But basically, the money just kind of gets recycled back into making more merchandise. And I think so. It's like I haven't made anything off the first movie. In fact, I probably lost money, my own money that I put in. But that's fine. I'm not worried about recouping it. I just like to bring smiles to people's faces, and that's the reward, really. So
exactly. Yeah, and that's why I love directors like yourself, and some of these other independent filmmakers I've chatted with and had the pleasure of meeting, is that you guys have a love for the genre and for these franchises, and that it's not like a Hollywood movie just trying to make another quick buck. You're telling a story, and I loved how you took a different route with this film. Rather, because we all love Friday the 13th and the story of campers coming out and getting attacked and killed by Jason, and then some of the backstories we get with Tommy Jarvis and with some of the other characters. But it was cool to see a fresh take on Camp Crystal Lake and on Jason, and seeing it from the side of the victims who have suffered this tremendous amount from their run-ins with Jason, and and then also looking at your main character Robbie trying to go out and deal with it himself because of all this pain that has brought his family, his mom, and even onto him. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing a different perspective and a different route for the whole franchise.
Yeah, I thought it would be interesting to see what the child of a survivor might be like, that doesn't quite understand what his mom went through or how horrible it was. He knows she went through something awful and terrible, and nobody should go through that. But because he's kind of in that age of kind of rebellion, or just like wants to, like, mom, stop, like, leave me alone. I want to grow up and, be my own man. And, like, so he's got an overprotective mother because of what she went through. So I thought it would be interesting to see, like, he's kind of being a little, like, as an adult looking at the kid, it's like, you're being kind of a little brat about this, and it's like, and going to Crystal Lake is a terrible idea. because it's not going to erase your parents' trauma of what they went through. It's always going to be there. And the therapist kind of says that in the beginning, with Joe Whitlow as the doctor. She's like, your mom deals with this on a daily basis, and it's like, it's always going to be with her. But in Robbie's naive perspective, he thinks like, oh, let me go to Crystal Lake and show that, Jason's been dead for years. It's a totally safe world out there, and, and he loves his mother. He cares about her. But he's in that, bratty kind of selfish, naive, innocent, like, and he's such an innocent kid. He's a child, I think that there was one scene that that wasn't in the script or anything, but Catherine Mary Stewart was directing that day. She directed a few scenes here and there throughout the movie. And she's like, how about we have Robbie just kind of walk across this log, like a kid would,
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no, that's great. Cause it kind of, and she said it before I could say it, that it kind of shows his innocence and everything. Like, a child, like splashing through puddles or like walking on a log or something, and I'm just like, yeah, no, that's perfect. It's like, and even like the audience watching it might be like, what is this dumb kid doing? Like, but that's the psychology behind that. It's like, he's very innocent, naive. And lo and behold, it's not a safe day around Crystal Lake that day.
No, not at all. And I totally understand, because, like, I mean, even as an adult now, like, when I'm taking a hike or doing something, I find myself doing like things I would have done as a kid, or like picking up a stick and like waving it around. I don't know. Sometimes you just find yourself.
Do it. We all walk around. We always pick like a big stick that we can kind of pretend to hike with, and we start whacking the leaves of the trees that are hanging over us.
Right. So it's definitely something everybody can relate to too, and and in some retrospect.
Right.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed Jason's look. That was actually one of my questions, was how it led to the sack, because he rejects that hockey mask.
Right.
And I was like, man, that was a bold choice. Like I'm here for it. Like, because he looks at it and then he's like, no, I'm gonna go for the bag. Like, and I was like, whoa, like what?
Like why would he do that? Yeah.
I'm like, dang. I'm like, okay. I started thinking, I'm like, why would he want to do that? But I'm like, I was cool with it, but I was like, that's definitely a different choice, because most people just go the easy route and they're like, overdo the hockey mask over and over again. So it was definitely a very creative choice, and I commend you on taking that choice and making him unique and bringing it back, like you said, like to the basics, bringing it back to like the beginning, like before he got that mask in part 3 from Shelley. I just, a lot of the choices in this, even the music, like, I ended up, I don't remember exactly the name of it, but I think was it like Psycho Pseudo? It was the Beat for You, like that song.
Oh, Beat for You, yeah. There's so many great Pseudo Echo songs. And it's funny, I was just listening to Pseudo Echo today, and there was like their extended mixes of a bunch of their songs. But yeah, I love Pseudo Echo. I kind of, obviously I discovered the band through Friday the 13th Part 5 with that song His Eyes that's in it. Every Friday the 13th fan knows that song, with Tiffany Helm doing the dancing in her room. But I sometimes when I like a song so much, I kind of go down the rabbit hole and see what other songs they have, and it's like they got some great albums. I mean, they only have I think like 5 albums, but like they're all awesome. Like if you're into the '80s kind of synth pop. But they have a little like rock to them too. So so I'm like, well, I got to put some Pseudo Echo in this movie. So and I just kind of squeezed it in there, and there will be Pseudo Echo in the sequel.
It's on my playlist,
and it won't be the song that everybody knows from the Friday movies. I just that's the thing. I don't like to hit people in the face with like the obvious fan service. I like to go a little bit more obscure, like, well, it's like Pseudo Echo song from Part 5. I'm not going to use that song. I'll use another song, but it's the same band. It's kind of like in Victim No More, where like I have there's a shot of like a farm, and you see Higgins Farm. I don't use Higgins Haven, which is the name of the place in Part 3, but I say Higgins Farm. So it's like it's just enough for people to recognize it and kind of and then just kind of move on. It's like subtle fan service, I like to call it. Not like there's so many fan films out there, and I love so many of them, but sometimes I kind of it's not my thing, but I know a lot of fans love it when like characters in these fan films say the exact same dialogue from the actual Friday the 13th movies. It's like,
there's a scene that popped in my head when you said that.
I'm like, I get it. You're saying that line. Oh, you're saying it again. Oh, that's wonderful. Like, we all know the line. Let's.
Right.
I like it being more subtle.
I know exactly. Like, there's a scene that exactly popped in my head when you said that, and that was from Never Hike Alone when he's like, "Remember me, maggot head?" Like, or "Remember me, asshole?"
Sorry, hold on a second. Sorry, my TV unpaused.
Oh, jeez.
I was watching something before, and it just like yelled in my ear, and I was like, "What?" I'm sorry. So, Never Hike Alone. What happened?
Yes, the part where he's like, "Hey, maggot head, remember me, asshole?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah."
And I really enjoy the Never Hike Alone movies, but I don't need Tommy saying the Tommy lines or Rick saying the Rick lines over and over again. It's like I'm like, after almost 40 years, you're still saying the same thing. I'm like, we know who you are. We know that you're the actors from those movies. I don't need to hear the same dialogue. That's just me. That's just me. I know fans probably love it. It's like, I just saw a movie recently. What the hell was it? Where somebody... Alien Romulus. Where there was a couple of lines, and they were pulled from the first 2 Alien movies, and I just kind of like, I'm like, that he doesn't need to say that. Like,
I haven't seen Alien Romulus yet. We just went.
I absolutely loved it. That was really
good. I've heard a lot of good things. I have coworkers that were like, they said that they really enjoyed it too. We just went to a drive-in theater that's not far from here, because you don't find those as often anymore, especially where I'm at. But we went Washington State.
Oh, you're in Washington State. Okay.
Yeah.
You're way over there.
Yeah. Up in the corner of the map, just below Canada.
Oh, wait. No, you're right there. That's where you are. It is pointed to you.
Oh, good. Hey, but we went and saw a double feature, and it was Beetlejuice, and the M. Night Shyamalan movie Trap.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
There was aspects of it I enjoyed, and there was aspects of Beetlejuice I enjoyed, but there was a lot of things I felt they could have done better and explained better, and there's always these nitpicks that you find, and I don't know, like in Beetlejuice, there were so many things that I was like, you slapped a Band-Aid on that, like you fixed that, or this wasn't as important as you made it seem. And there was just so many things that I was like, really, really. And then there was moments that I really enjoyed thoroughly, and I was like, okay, I'm getting a mixed bag here, but it was good to see like Michael Keaton back in the saddle after like 30 something years, and
That was fun.
even
That was fun.
even Catherine O'Hara and why am I blanking on her name? I know her name. I can't remember her name.
Jenna Ortega.
Huh? No.
Winona Ryder and
Winona Ryder. Yeah, Winona Ryder. I was like, I know her name, and I was like, why is it not coming to me right now? But yeah, it was good to see them like pick up the mantle, like where they, like in the future, and kind of see, because Beetlejuice is definitely a standalone movie. You didn't have to make a sequel,
Right.
in my opinion. But it was cool to nostalgia, I guess. In a sense, but
they definitely hit those nostalgia moments, and it was cool to see, a lot of the style of that first Beetlejuice movie kind of carry over, which is kind of like outdated types of effects and things like that,
right.
and like production. It's kind of cool that Tim Burton just kind of he made the movie as it was like a few years later after the first one. Like if you would have shot the movie in 1990, it probably still would have looked like this,
Especially that sandworm scene. They definitely leaned into that.
Yeah, definitely. That was cool. It's like, oh my god, this is totally like, meant to look how it is. Like,
for sure.
But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I had a really good time with it. And I didn't really mind any of the fan servicey things that they did in it. It was fine,
Yeah.
I like the shrunken head dudes running around all over town.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed that. The only thing, like, my main quirk was like they made this big deal out of his like ex-wife, and then like it felt kind of lackluster when it came to like the final, like them coming together and like meeting.
Yeah,
it seems just like
kind of wrapped up way too quick. Yeah. They made a big deal about it, and then it's like we were more concerned about what the other characters were doing, like how Winona Ryder's daughter, Lydia's daughter, was like getting screwed over by the boy that she met and everything. It's like that was more interesting,
right?
And him trapping her in that world, and like then Beetlejuice's ex-wife coming at him. I thought,
right. And going back to before where we went off the path a little bit, but you were so I was wondering if like the little subtle nods, how we were talking about, you did like Higgins Farm, and like I noticed that the doctor, her last name is Romero. Would that have anything to do with George A. Romero, or just random last name?
Well, it's because Jill Whitlow's character in Night of the Creeps from 1986. If you haven't seen Night of the Creeps, it's an amazing sci-fi horror comedy. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I just love this movie. So Jill Whitlow's character's name is Cynthia Kronberg in the movie. So, and Jason Lively's character, who winds up to be her boyfriend in the end, his last name was Romero. So I was thinking like, eventually these two kids would get married, and Jill Whitlow's last name would be Romero. So now she's Cynthia Romero, and she's a doctor, she's a therapist. So she's basically carried over the same character from Night of the Creeps into this Friday 13th tribute film, so I thought that would be a fun little crossover with Night of the Creeps. And I did a couple little crossover things that are kind of subtle and not a lot of people pick up on.
I've seen Night of the Creeps. It's been a while, but that was also had Tom Atkins in it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He's like, your dates are here.
Yeah. It did.
Something. Yeah, it's been a hot minute, but yeah, I enjoyed that film. I enjoy like those older Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I enjoy that. It's a pleasure,
don't say guilty. It's just a pleasure. Never
It's a
feel
pleasure.
should never feel guilty about things that you find enjoyable, or entertaining.
That's fair. That's fair. So I had some questions I'd like to ask you. My first one being, if you could work with any director that's either living or deceased, is there any director that you've always kind of like dreamt of like working alongside, or?
I've never dreamt about working with them because I never really thought I would be in a position to co-direct with somebody or even work on like some kind of industry picture. But there's a bunch of directors. I mean, my top two favorite directors of all time are George Romero and John Carpenter. I love their films. I love how they direct. Personally, I think I would rather work with George Romero, and when I direct something, I try to emulate, I guess, George Romero's way of directing. Meaning, I try to like be very relaxed, listen to people's ideas that they have on set because they might have a really good, interesting point of view, or take on what we're doing, and listen to the actors, listen to my cinematographer, listen to everybody around me, and I could take their ideas, or I can just continue on with the vision that I had. So, like things would come up, like problems on set, say, like for example, while we were shooting Victim No More, we got booted out of one park because we didn't have permission, and we had to go find a different place. And we, we're spending a lot of money that day for the actors and the crew and everything. And it's a nice day, and we can't reschedule, so we have to shoot it somewhere else. But we just started making phone calls, and we didn't like flip out, and
right.
There was no tension on the set or anything like that. We just, we fell behind 2 or 3 hours, but we found a place where we could shoot, and it actually worked out better for us because the location look was better than I had been dreaming about with this other location for about 1.5 years before that. I kept thinking like, oh, it's perfect. I got it in my mind. This is how it's going to be. And that vision was just thrown away that day. And I had to come up with a whole new outlook on how we're going to shoot something. And it's great. Now I can't imagine it any other way. It's that first scene with the first kill in the movie where the guy gets his head twisted around, like where he chooses between the mask and the sack. It's like that's the scene that I imagined a completely different way. And now it's how it is, and it's how I can only see it that way now. But Romero is probably the one I would have loved to work next to. I do admire a lot of directors. I mean, of course, there's Spielberg and Lucas, and I'm always interested in like M. Night movies, like in what goes on in his head, and like how because I'm always excited about an M. Night movie, and sometimes I'm disappointed, as the world usually is too. There was a point where like they were laughing when they would see his M. Night Shyamalan,
oh boy,
name up on the screen, and people would just laugh, and it's like, whoa, what are you laughing at this guy for? But one thing I got to say about him is that, a couple of things about him is that no matter what you think of him as a filmmaker, he always has a completely original idea. Like, it's always, you can't compare really any of his movies to other movies. They're M. Night movie. So it's like, like The Happening might not be a good movie in your opinion or my opinion or whatever, but it's like nothing else is like that,
Right. Yeah.
The other thing I gotta say, like, I just want to get into his head, because it's my issue with his movies a lot of the times is how quickly characters just believe whatever's going on. You know, like say Lady in the Water. I really enjoy Lady in the Water. I think it's a good fairy tale fantasy kind of concept movie, and it's kind of cool. But it's like everybody in that apartment complex goes, "Well, yeah, we got to get her back to her world and look for the clues." And I'm like, there's no like naysayers in this group. You know? It's just
Right.
weird. Like, like everybody just believes whatever is happening must be the truth, and they just go along with the story. Not all of his movies, but most of them. But Trap, I enjoyed. I was about an hour into that movie, and I'm just like, this is great. And then it
had a lot of good
towards the end. I'm just like, well, this did not go as I expected or wanted
right.
to. So
right. I was like, the whole time though, I was just like, man, this dude's like on the fly, just like, okay, here's what's my next step, and then like some things he had to rethink because they're like, he'll do this, and then he's like, oh man, they're on to me, so like I gotta like think on the fly and figure out the next way I'm gonna go about this.
It was so suspenseful. It felt like Hitchcockian kind of movie, and I was really digging it. I kind of wish they just didn't leave the concert stadium. Like I just kind of like wish the whole movie took place there, because then once you leave there, it gets a little weird. But like as far as like what characters wind up doing and where it goes, and it's like, oh, if it just stayed at the stadium for the whole movie, and, he gets caught there or something, like I would have been like, that was a great film. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just went in a different direction. I guess I still like it, but now that I know where it winds up, it'll be easier to rewatch because I know where it's going. Then maybe I'll like it more, or maybe not like it.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was crazy that they managed to do all of that. And like, I mean, I guess it's true in some movies. Like, there was no like death scenes or like any like
spoilers.
They didn't. Oh shoot! Oh crap!
Spoilers.
Oops, sorry, guys.
This, I don't think they care about M. Night's Trap movie, so I don't know.
I'm sorry. Still go see it. Don't listen to me. I'm full of crap.
That's not true though. There's a lot of people who got killed. We just don't really see.
Never saw them. Yeah. I guess that's true. And out of all the Friday the 13th and all the like the styles that we get of Jason, I mean, you can even include like, I know he's not technically Jason, but Roy. Like, out of all the movies, what would be your favorite rendition of Jason, or your favorite like version of Jason that we get in like the films?
I mean, there's a few. But I do love Ted White, Friday the 13th Final Chapter, Jason a lot. I mean, I think he's, the way he's busting through doors, and he's pretty brutal, and I love his like black fingernails and his overall look when the mask comes off is great. But it's like I kind of like part 3's Jason too, because he just seems like a big goofy child, like he's smiling, and that scene at the window at the end of the little dream sequence, he's just like, oh man, I do not want that guy chasing me. But and of course, like Kane Hodder's, part 7 makeup and body is great. I see. I don't know, because I really love CJ Graham too. So where he's got like the Batman utility belt, and he's
right, like
one thing I could say I like. I guess I like CJ Graham, the Jason Lives Jason, more than Kane Hodder's Jason. And the reason being is because I like that you don't see him breathing, because he's dead. So he's kind of
That's true.
zombie. So he's very stiff and still and like Frankensteinish. So I kind of like that type of Jason. And I told my actor that was playing Jason, James Taffarelli, in my film, to like, I don't want to see you breathe. I'm like, you're a corpse, so don't breathe. And I don't want to see any Kane Hodder impressions. You know, with the doing this and then the quick head moves and stuff like that. I'm like, because every time somebody starts getting into that kind of cosplay, they start doing Kane Hodder impressions. I'm like, just be your own Jason.
Right.
I don't want to see you breathe. You know what to do. You know. So and I'll just give them little notes here and there. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, make it your own.
What's your favorite Jason?
Oh man, I agree on part. I like part 6, Jason. I just like especially like the creativity of like, man, like the kills, like that RV like kill and like the paintball, like when he gets shot with the paintball, and he's like, and then he like rips the arm off of the dude.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, I just liked his mannerisms, and I liked the way that he portrayed Jason was really good.
I like that he like, he doesn't realize how strong he is. Like, it's kind of like, you know, he gets, you know, struck by lightning, comes back from the dead, and he's more powerful than he's ever been. And yeah, like, when he ripped off the guy's arm, he's like looking at the arm like, is like
I just did that.
Yeah.
That and the face and the side of the RV, like through the side of the, like, damn.
Yeah, like I think he was like kind of enjoying how powerful he is, but confused at the same time. I like when Jason gets confused. So.
Right. Yeah. I think part 6 it's been one of my favorites, like out of the whole franchises, and I really do enjoy part 5. Like, even though it's like Roy going around gallivanting around as Jason, like, I really enjoyed the vibe of being at like Pinehurst and like the other stuff going on, and like even like the kills that we get from like Vic, like, you know, freaking out on I can't remember his name, but he was like, you know,
Joey.
He's like he's shaking the candy bar at him. He's like, just forget it.
I think you're really
out of line. Oh man, yeah. I just and I enjoyed that whole film, and like everything about it, and the characters were just fun, you know, like including like, you know, the son being like, they hit me, mom, and it's just like
Junior. Well, Junior and
Ethel,
mama's boy. They're classic characters of the whole franchise. They are even somebody who doesn't like horror movies or Friday the 13th movies, you show them 10 minutes of Ethel and Junior interacting with each other. Like, here's the thing. I was at the drive-in, the Mahoning Drive-in. It's in Pennsylvania. It was an event. They were showing the first 10 Friday the 13th movies on the big screen. It was a great event. Adrian King and Amy Steele were there signing autographs.
Nice.
And I'm good friends with them. They're awesome. But so Amy and I decide to watch A New Beginning. She's never seen any Friday the 13th movies past like the third movie.
Oh wow!
So and already I was like, kind of like, you're seeing part 5 instead of like the final chapter. Like, this is not going to be fun for you. So we get our chairs and we're, you know, watching it on the drive-in screen and everything. And she was just laughing at Ethel and her dialogue and, you big dildo, you know, and I got a bomb on me and don't touch me. And, you know, like all those scenes, she was cracking up and telling me, like, you know, whispering over to me, it's like she's got all the best lines in this movie.
Right?
That's a funny character. As far as the movie itself, I don't know what she thought, really. she was kind of confused through the whole thing. She was like, "Who are these greasers that are showing up?" And like, you know,
Right.
and I kind of spoil like who the killer is halfway through. I'm like, "Do you want to know who the killer is?" So just in case she didn't stick around for the whole thing, but we watched the whole movie.
Nice.
And then I'm like, "You got to see 4 and 6, like, you know." And
Yeah.
she's friends with Tom Matthews. I'm like, "You got to see Tom Matthews in part 6, and you got to see Kimberly Beck, who she's also friends with in part 4. Like they're like those two, 4 and 6 are my top 2. I just love those films. So
Yeah,
and I think Amy is the best final girl, as far as I'm concerned. So.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the whole. That's another thing is I'm a big Tommy Jarvis. I'm like that whole. I love that arc. I love like him, like the things he had to do as a kid, like, you know, like him shaving himself bald and like having to kill Jason, and like seeing him go through that stage where he's like battling, you know, his mind, and seeing these like visions of Jason, and like, you know, on the like this breaking point, and then him like, okay, you know, this is kind of stupid, I'm gonna dig up his body, but I need closure, like, and just and then him having to rectify that. I really enjoyed that arc, you know.
Yeah, great. I mean, it's, you know, it's the key Jarvis trilogy, you know, those 3 movies, you know, with Tommy Jarvis.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really, really good. So.
Right. And I enjoyed like the side characters in those two. Like I enjoyed like, you know, Crispin Glover and like, you know, his buddy, like the whole like dead fuck, like he's like, stop calling me that.
If that's just stuff that wasn't in the script that they made up, and it's like, and they just carried it on throughout the, you know, the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me just put that in my computer.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I like all the side characters in, or at least the majority of them, in 4, 5, and 6. 5 to me is like almost like a comedy with some of those characters.
Yeah.
With Demon, Miguel Nunez, and
oh yeah, ooh baby, ooh baby.
Yeah. Amy thought that was hilarious. She started laughing.
Or damn enchiladas.
Yeah, and I was just like, "This is what you sing when you're on the toilet, right?"
Yeah.
She's like,
she comes over and joins in. Like his girlfriend is like, you know, she starts singing with him too, and it's like the dude's having a moment. You know, he's trying to like take a crap and like, but she's just like, I'm gonna join in. I was like, that's different. You know, my wife, I don't think she'd come up to the bathroom door and sing with me, but
no, and,
hell, whatever.
And nobody wipes themselves in the Friday the 13th movies.
Oh man.
Yeah, nobody sits on the toilet and then wipes themselves. They just pull up their pants, like they're just done. You know, it's gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're a big fan of Part 5, you might enjoy some of the little bit of nods or fan service for sequel that I'm preparing. So
yeah, I was gonna say I noticed like I had done a review or like I watched the trailer and kind of gave my thoughts on it.
You were the first person. You're the only person that did a review of the trailer.
And I was like, man, this is like looking like some flashback sequences, because like that looks like Jason from Part 3, or you know, like I'm like, oh, that get up looks familiar. Like I'm like, are we going back in time? Like I had my own speculations on it for sure. But
and I love that you were trying to see like posters that were in the background,
right?
In the shots, like you paused it and you were like, what's that on the dresser? And
like kind of analyzing, because I'm like, man, this is giving me certain vibes, and I'm like, I want to know if I'm like on the right track, or like am I like way off? But it got me excited, because I'm excited to see where like Loose Ends Victim No More 2 takes us. Super stoked for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love that you did that. The review. Thank you so much for reviewing the trailer. Like immediately, as soon as it went up, you like looked at it. But I love, and me, the guy that played Jason, James Taffarelli, and like we all watched your review of it, and then we were just like, I love that he's like trying to figure out what's in the background there because we only show it for like seconds. But if you look at the little girl hiding under the bed, like look at the toys and board games and stuff around her, and you'll see that everything under her bed is like late 70s to mid 80s, like toys and stuff. Yeah, so you'll see like Rainbow Bright dolls and Cabbage Patch Kid color forms and stuff like that. And it's like we decorated the room
Nice.
or at least those shots to make it look like. So that poster that you can't quite see, that's next to Jason's face when he turns and you see his hockey mask. It's a magazine poster of Ricky Schroeder from the old show Silver Spoons. So yeah, so you can't really see it too well, but eventually I'll
tried
put a picture of that. And, yeah, so like maybe she had a little crush on Ricky Schroeder or something.
Okay.
Okay.
I also I saw that you were part of a movie. I haven't had the pleasure of seeing it yet. Screamwalkers.
Yes.
That is just released, right? I think this year.
Yeah.
How was it being like more so on the other side? I saw that you're playing like that you played an officer in that. How was it like?
Well, it's just a cameo, really. It's just I play a couple of police officers in there, or a guy on the street that it's just cameos with no dialogue. I just kind of zip around.
Okay.
But I helped writer director Sean Q. King. He's the cinematographer for my film. This was his movie that he did last fall. We shot it like throughout the fall and into the winter time, I think, some scenes. But he got a great cast together. He wanted to take a step back from what he normally shoots, which you've seen how well of a cinematographer he is for my film.
Yeah.
And he's great at lighting and professional and 4K shooting and everything. He wanted to kind of take it a step back and make a shot on video mid 90s style horror film, where it just looks like an old home movie. I mean, you've seen these shot on video movies that came out in the 80s and 90s and they were just on the video store shelf, so he wanted to make a movie like that where he didn't have to worry so much about lighting and effects being amazing and everything, although the effects are pretty cool in this movie. But anyway, I helped him kind of come up with the story, kind of layout of the idea. He came up with the main plot of the story and he wrote the script and everything. But I helped executive produce it. So I'm a producer on it and co-story by, I guess. So he's trying to figure out now. He's actually at a convention this weekend, Horror Hound weekend in Cincinnati, which is the biggest convention in the country, and it's kind of right in the middle of the country, so people kind of come from all over to go to Ohio to go there.
Yeah, I have friends that are there right now.
It's Ohio, yeah.
Nice.
Where's Cincinnati? Why am I thinking Cincinnati's Ohio, right? It's not Indiana.
I think so.
They do have a horror hound in Indiana, though. I think so. I don't know. Either way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right. I'm having a brain fart with the map of the United States.
Right.
But so he shot this movie. It was great. It was a great experience. It was fun. And I said, well, good. Have your fun, because then you're back to doing the same thing when we shoot Victim No More 2, where every shot takes hours to do, instead of just whipping a camera around that's from 1994. Just go, say your line, go, boom.
Right.
But it was a good experience, and we got a new pool of like local actors to like pull from. So I think at least 4 of those actors that are in Screamwalkers will be in my film.
Nice.
Some of them are on the Indiegogo campaign, and there's pictures of the main cast.
Okay.
So check that out. So right now he's promoting the film. He's selling merch. You can get a copy of the movie through Screamwalkers. His Indiegogo campaign is still like open, so you can get your copy, or you can get it on eBay, I believe. Or just go to Screamwalkers Movie on Instagram and Facebook, and you'll find, how you can get a copy of the movie. He's just self-distributing right now, but like, hopefully somebody picks it up maybe, and maybe it'll be streaming soon one day. But
that'd be cool.
Keep an eye out for it. And I noticed you have like those Scream masks in the back behind you.
Yeah.
So there's a situation where the Screamwalker's mask, because it looks a little similar.
Right.
So it may or may not be in stores like next year. So
okay, nice.
But not sure, and I probably shouldn't even mention that. But I don't want my mouth to get in trouble. But we'll see. You never know.
Yeah. I've got different versions of it. I like one of them. It was like original, like the mask eye, not the peanut eye one, but like I took it and like did like the fake blood and like a clear coat over it. Made my own bloodied up version of it. That one is like the zombie one, and then I have a plain regular one, and then I have one that's not quite Scream, but it's similar. It's
that's cool.
I don't know how. Yeah,
that's
it's like
cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Eventually, this hasn't really been public knowledge yet, but I have been writing my own like movie or like a fan kind of thing for Scream. And it's going to be called Until I Feel Bone, which was like a quote from Ghostface. But I'm not going to divulge any information yet. Nobody even knew about it. Now I just spilled a little bit of tea right there, but
I know we're both saying things that we shouldn't say.
But I've kind of been trying to.
If someone hears this, he's going to be like, "What? Don't talk about that stuff." And I'm like, "All right." Well,
right?
Too late.
Yeah, it's out in the air now. No. So let me see here. Do you have any favorite memories from your work on the first Victim No More film? Was there any like specific day or instance that you're like, that's like a memory that you'll hold very dear to your heart? Kind of like one of those.
I think I could pull a moment from every day that we shot.
Nice.
And oddly enough, there was 13 days of filming. But every day, I mean, is perfectly vivid in my memory. But I'm trying to think of something that was a really fun memory. I mean, I guess the whole sequence of filming at the cabins, where like those two characters.
Yeah, I can't remember their name. Yeah, but I remember who. Yeah, those.
Yeah, so when Katie and Dylan are at the cabins, that's probably the highlight, week of shooting for me, because we got to stay in like a giant counselor house that was right next to like those dilapidated cabins, and you could like rent out this counselor house as like an Airbnb.
Okay.
Which my co-producer Lindsay DeFranco like set up. She's also like the costume designer for a lot of the women at the end and everything.
Okay.
So she set that up, and we got to all stay there, and it's like cool. There was like bunk beds that we stayed in, like in the rooms, and this place hasn't changed since the 80s. Like the furniture, the fireplace, the bunk beds, like everything just, you know, there was no air conditioning either, and there was no cable or anything, and there was like VHS tapes just like stacked in the corner. I'm like, what decade did we into? And if I knew it looked like that, I would have like rewrote the script a little bit so we could film in there. But that whole thing was just a joy. Like it was just so much fun. And the day that we shot like the death scenes and everything, and everybody had like a big working space to like just kind of spread out and chill. And Ricky Vitus, who did the makeup, can like had his little area that he had all of his makeup stuff spread out, and it was like a big sleepover. It was like fun. And Catherine Mary Stewart came out. She didn't need to be there that day, but she came out and she slept over with us, and kind of had fun, kind of consulting, because she's the Hollywood one, so she's the one that has 40-something years of experience in the industry. So she was kind of like a mentor on set. So if she had like advice or opinions on things, she would like, suggest things. And, she was amazing on set. And that stuff is, a lot of that is documented on the Blu-ray. Like there's an hour and a half. There's like an hour and a half like documentary that's on the Blu-ray itself. Did you get a copy? Did I send you a copy?
No.
Do you want a copy?
I would love a copy.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure. If you still collect physical media.
I do actually. Let me see if I can swivel this. I've got like a bunch of DVDs there. Down below, I have like VHSs as well. Okay. I'm a big media collector. And then that's just some of my horror stuff. Like my non-horror stuff in the house, I've got like it pouring out the every crevice. It feels like, because there's so many. I've collected so many movies over my lifetime so far. I love physical media. Can't beat it.
I need it. And just recently, it was complete proof of why we need physical media, because I was watching two things that I stopped in the middle of watching and tried to go back to a day or two later, and were just pulled off of streaming. It's like I was in the middle of watching that. Oh, now I got to pay $19 to like purchase it off of Amazon or something, and I'm like, no. Yeah. Like, they just take things away whenever they want, Yeah. And somebody told me recently, like HBO created that show Westworld from a few years ago, and there was like 4 seasons of it. So it's an HBO Max show, and apparently it's not even on HBO anymore. Like the show, it's their show, and they even pulled it, and it's like, wow. But what, like? So it's just good to have physical media around, because then you can watch whatever you want to watch, whenever you want to watch it, and not have something getting taken away from you. But but yeah, I'll send you a Blu-ray of the first movie. And,
that'd be amazing.
But yeah, the hour and a half making of thing. This guy that I'm friends with, Paul Zamorelli, shot the documentary, and it was awesome. And she shot like 5 hours of like stuff, and he made it like 90 minutes.
Oh, nice.
And a lot, the best stuff is like right in the middle of it, with how we did the death scenes and walking around and trying to figure out how we're going to shoot everything the next day. And that stuff is fun. And then of course bloopers and interviews on there, and it's a packed Blu-ray, because I liked 20 years ago when we got those DVDs where you could just spend hours finding Easter eggs. There's even a couple of Easter eggs where you got to move the remote around and something will light up, and then you just click on that and get a little.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's not just like play movie. You know.
Yeah, a little more interactive.
Yeah, it's a little bit more interactive. It's probably, I would say, it's the most interactive Friday 13th fan film Blu-ray that you'll ever see.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I've gotten a lot of the fan films, and most of them are just like play movie and two other things, maybe a behind the scenes like documentary thing, but you know, and bloopers are just always fun.
Oh yeah, can't beat that.
Yeah. So
okay,
yeah,
awesome. Man, I had a bunch of questions, but I'm like taking forever. So,
well,
let me
I
see
can
here.
give you a time limit. Actually, we have another 20 minutes because then I have to do another interview at 5.
Oh, no.
And I
Nice.
gotta, like, do something in between.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just throw a few out here. Is there any other franchise you'd enjoy trying to take a stab at? I mean, aside from Friday the 13th.
As far as like doing like a fan film kind of thing.
Yeah, along that route of doing like, you know, a fan film. Yeah.
I probably I have so many original ideas that I probably wouldn't do another fan film. I do want to do a third Victim No More movie just to complete a trilogy. So after this one, there will be a third and final chapter, quote unquote, of this little trilogy, and then I'm going to move on to a bunch of other ideas that I had. Some are horror, some are sci-fi, some are fantasy. There's a romantic comedy that's thrown in there, so I definitely have lots of ideas. But I do mess around with. I have written fan film before they were called like fan films. This is going back like 20 years or something. Some of them, but I have wrote down a few like ideas that I would have as like short films or something. One idea that I have, and I might shoot it as a fake trailer. And that is, you're familiar with the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know how there's 5 of them. There's 5.
Yeah, I haven't seen all of them, but I haven't seen every single one, but yeah, I know there was at least a handful for sure.
Okay. So there's 5 of them, and I wanted to shoot like a trailer for Silent Night, Deadly Night 666, and like, and have it be like this like crazy story about you know devil worshippers or something like that, or I don't know. I have an idea, but I don't want to talk about it too much in case somebody else takes the idea.
Right, I totally understand.
But I was thinking about putting like maybe shooting these fan film trailers for like movies that I love, like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and kind of placing them inside Victim No More 3. So it'll be like a fan film inside of a fan film or something like that. You know, that's
a good idea. That kind of reminded me of like how Eli Roth's and the Planet Terror, like how he did Thanksgiving, and like everybody's like, man, when are we gonna get that? Then that became a reality later on, but at that it was just a spoof. It was just like a fake trailer,
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's funny. So I wouldn't really want to do another fan film. As far as like a feature length thing, this movie will be a feature length movie. It'll be double the runtime as the first Victim No More, because it's an anthology film. So it'll be 4 short stories that kind of spin out of the Friday 13th franchise. So with characters and certain situations and character reveals that are connected to characters that you do know from the franchise, and it's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So, and I hope a lot of Friday 13th fans have a lot of fun with it too. So so I
Yeah,
don't want to give away too much, but
that's great. You actually answered another question, like, because I was going to ask, without divulging too deep into it, like, was there anything you could tell us about it? And I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. Like what you just gave us, like I'm excited to see where you take it with part 2.
yeah. Basically, we're going to kind of go a little bit back in time through some of these stories. It's going to show you the aftermath of what happens at the end of Victim No More. So you'll get to see what happens. But in that, we'll also get to, see where some of these women that show up at the end, like some of their background and like what happened in their past trauma of like what pushed them to find each other and create like Survivor Squad to like take down monsters, and things like that.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
And then it'll, wherever it leads, it eventually will have a third and final film. But we got to make the second one first. So let's raise that money in the campaign.
Yeah.
So we could make the best movie possible with the best quality, the best everything.
For sure.
And so we can make it to the third and final part. But and all three will be very different from each other, and almost in a way they can all three can also stand alone on its own.
Oh,
so
that's good, and that's unique too, because you have so many movies and like trilogies that depend on one another. That's cool that you'll be able to take it and be like, well, each one of these could stand alone. That's awesome. And everybody watching out there, I will be, like I said up in the beginning of the interview, I'll be leaving links below to go support Loose Ends Victim No More
too.
too.
You said Never Hike Alone 4. Oh my god.
See, I told you I'm rusty. I'm like Victim No More 2.
It would have been bad if we weren't talking about Never Hike Alone.
Right?
If you would have just said that, I would have like, what? No.
But yes, we'll leave down so you can go support them. I'm sure there's like perks that you can pick up.
A lot of fun perks. Like we got the, we of course we have like the T-shirts and the beanies and signed posters. And pins and different kinds of pins and stuff. But like, we also have like you can get a screen used weapons that we use.
Nice.
There's only 3 options for that, so it's like you have to so only 3 people can choose that. But the producer perks are really good, and if anybody's interested in producer perks, we have perks that involve paying for your weekend pass at the convention that we screen the film at. So
nice.
We'll pay for the whole weekend for you. If you're like an executive producer perk, of course, then we'll pay for the hotel stay and the weekend pass. Like, so VIP treatment, basically.
Nice.
That does not include flight, though. I don't think. If
you're on your own there.
if you're from Washington State, But but we have a couple there's perks that involve that have I don't know if you ever heard of R.G. Henning's The Making of Part 2 and Part 3 books. There's a book called Sackhead. Yeah, there's a book called Sackhead. It's all about the making of the second film. And there's a book called Jason 3D, and it's a retrospective. Goes into detail about the making of Part 3. So those are part of a couple of perks. So you get that along with Loose Ends merch and stuff. Actually, one perk has the Scream Factory Friday the 13th box set involved with the Victim No More 1 and 2.
Nice.
And those posters that they originally came with, the 40th anniversary 24 by 30 posters. Yeah. So
awesome. A lot to look forward to for fans. A lot to take in. So definitely visit, check out the Indiegogo. I'll also leave links to the Victim No More like Instagram and Facebook, and you can go show some love there as well. But yeah, let's help support Bob and these awesome films. If you haven't seen the original Victim No More, it's available on YouTube, and also sounds like you still have like Blu-rays and stuff. So can they still purchase like the Blu-rays and stuff on there from you?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. On our website, victimnomorefilm.com, if you go to that site, it'll be a link sending you to the Indiegogo campaign, because right now, at least for the first couple of months, we would want you to, because the Victim No More first movie Blu-ray is involved in a bunch of the perks.
Okay.
So
okay.
we kind of shut down the merch page for a couple of months, so that way, if fans that want to contribute to the movie, they can go to the campaign page, and they can get perks that have the first movie stuff involved. Like there's like a double feature deal where you can get Victim No More 1 and 2, and a T-shirt from 1 and 2.
Okay.
And so
yeah.
So you can get merch that way. So.
Awesome.
By just donating to the perk for the second movie. And then if you do that, then you get your name in the credits and all that stuff. So
yeah. So definitely do that. Give them some support. Help them make this next movie a good, like you said, the more the budget, this goes back into the film. This goes back into the production side of things, the merchandise, everything. So you're really helping put this movie with its best foot forward. So yeah, I'll leave those links. Check them out. I have one final question for you here before I let you go.
Okay.
I always like to ask this question, but so when you die, what would you like etched in your tombstone?
Oh my God. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like a Jason Lives napkin. It's like place metal pole here with an arrow pointing to like where my heart would be.
Yeah.
So it could be struck by lightning, something.
Oh man. That would be funny.
I would just write. No, I do it. Here's a reference. Old Wes Craven movie called Serpent in the Rainbow. The big thing in the trailer there was like, "Don't let them bury me, I'm not dead." So I would just have that written on the tombstone. Don't let them bury me, I'm not dead.
Oh man, I bet you get some confusion out of that one if people walk by and happen to look at your tombstone.
Yeah.
Like
what?
Did they bury him alive?
I don't know. And maybe I would have like a little like sound machine that would like sound like thumping.
Oh man, that'd be killer. Attached to the back of the tombstone. Have somebody change out the batteries every so often.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. Change the batteries. So I'll have somebody come by every like 2 weeks. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh man, that's awesome. I love it. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. I really enjoyed getting that
face to face. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was good to pick your brain a little bit, chat a little bit about horror and about Victim No More and Victim No More 2. Like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing the sequel. And everybody just remember to show your support, because these films are awesome and they're, like I said, made by the fans for the fans, and it's not just out there to just make money. It's out there to
definitely not making money.
So we need to
make it. So
right, but yeah, we need to show support for these these awesome films. So definitely check out the links that we're going to leave here, and I hope that you and I will get a chance to talk again in the future. After
anytime.
Awesome. I appreciate that so much. I hope you have a killer rest of your day. And for all you viewers out there, as always, keep killing it out there, my friends. And just remember, don't get caught.
ghosts and the ghouls disturb you.
I'll see you soon.
I wanna play a game.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.